like we can get it nice and quick if it's just the three of us.
Okay, we're live.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the first question is to ask everybody what they think it would be like working as a TSA agent.
Ew.
Just from like personal experience and from reading the case.
I just know when I travel, I feel like there's a lot of them just standing around, so it irritates me. I feel like they're just standing around talking. And I know in the case it says they're really busy, but just from personal experience, I feel like they're just standing around. So it irritates me. So I would think it's kind of a job where people don't like you. So it would be really hard to enjoy a job where you know that, and a lot of times not that they just don't like you, but people poke fun of them. So, you know, so anyway, that would be my opinion.
Yeah, no, I actually agree. It doesn't seem, when the case, I was like, oh yeah, they do a lot more than you realize. But I still feel like whenever I think about that kind of experiences of traveling, they're standing talking with their friends or just kind of standing around, or doesn't seem like they're totally, I mean, they say they go through like training and stuff, but it doesn't totally seem like they do, I don't know. So maybe I shouldn't say that on a live broadcast, but
They'll come after you. No, I would agree though. Like, I don't know, I've traveled like a lot, like all around the world, and I just feel like, and not necessarily that I've noticed that they don't do much, but like you said, a lot of people don't like them, and so in that sense, I feel like it'd be a hard job because people like are just like sick of having to deal with like security and whatever it is. So I'm guessing from what you guys said, nobody's ever worked as a TSA agent.
I haven't worked as a TSA agent, but I actually worked for Alaska Horizon Airlines for just a short period of time. And it was enough to never want to work for the airlines again. It is a,
really?
yeah, it's, maybe I shouldn't say this on the air, but I don't care. So my sister-in-law worked there, and this is not for TSA, but you are with, do you know what I mean? You still are, I don't want to say co-employees with them, but they are there, and just they give you very little training, and all of a sudden they just put you can't work inside until you work outside on the tarmac. So they just put me out there with very little training, and I'm hooking up this huge airplane, and unhooking it, and like with very little training, getting paid $10 an hour. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we don't have more accidents in the air, because they put emphasis on safety, but I didn't feel like they did. And so within a month, I just said, I'm not doing this. And within a year, my sister-in-law, who worked for them, got injured, got run over by somebody driving a little thing, and she's permanently disabled. So safety-wise, I like to have. Yeah, that was just Alaska, so I don't know if it's like that everywhere else, but I do not have a lot of confidence in the airlines. It's just amazing that we get where we're supposed to get. Do you know what I mean?
I would think that they would rather you worked inside before you went outside. Like,
well, they wanted you to understand the whole luggage system. Do you know what I mean? And how to the whole. At least that's the way they did it. Maybe they don't do it that way anymore, but anyway. So every time I fly, I think the person that just is responsible for sealing up that aircraft, do you know what I mean? Like, you check the door and stuff, is getting paid $10 an hour. So I don't know. That just makes me feel. But then you get free flights, and that's what people work for. Nobody works for the $10 an hour. They work for the free flights. So anyway, sorry, that was a little departure from TSA, but I did know TSA people, and in general, I don't want to. This is being recorded, but they were kind of like self-important. Do you know what I mean? Like puffed up, I don't know. That's what I think most people don't like them. So
yeah, I feel that with like TSA agents, when you're like there and they like you say one thing and they think they're better than you or whatever. And
yeah.
But I guess it's the same. Like, it just depends on the individual too, though.
Right, because I didn't really get that feeling from this case. Like, I got a feeling for the employee was like dedicated to his job. He felt it was important. I didn't get that feeling from this case. So it was actually good to kind of see a more positive, you
Yeah.
know, attitude about it.
Okay, so what do you both think that O'Reilly should have done about Sanchez?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know. It's like, but that's a huge thing. They had to shut down the terminal and all that other stuff. You know, I think that's pretty intense. Like that, I think it needs some serious reprimand. You know, but it's hard because after reading the case and, you know, like we're talking about, I feel like we see the other tail end of the people that are getting hired on TSA just seeing it as a stepping stone, you know, but like the first people that signed up to be part of TSA were like, wanted to be in the front lines and like help keep like everyone safe and everything. And so I feel like he's part of that, but I don't know, obviously something, I didn't know what to do with him, but something has to happen because that's not okay that someone slipped through, you know, that's scary.
Yeah, it could
But
have been like so much worse.
yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I felt torn in that it really, the case built him up to be this, you know, really good employee. In fact, you know, he'd been there like 8 years. He could have promoted, but he chose not to promote so he could stay on the front line. But I felt conflicted in that if she doesn't do something, then it's possible she might get reprimanded or fired. I mean, it's like she kind of has to make an example, but I definitely wouldn't fire him because I feel like he still has a
Yeah.
lot of good, you know, potential within the company. And I'm trying to think how you can make this a win-win for him, you know, and, you know, since it's such a high profile thing, people are going to want somebody's head to roll. And I don't know how you can do like what kind of reprimand would you do? You know, a suspension, unpaid suspension. You know, I don't know. What did you think, Jennifer? What did you think should happen?
I agree with kind of what both of you guys said. I wouldn't fire him because, as you say, I think he's like a good employee, and obviously he's not had like serious issues in the past.
Yeah.
But I also agree that at the same time, not even for like the public or anything, but just for the coworkers, something needs to like be done because otherwise they're gonna feel, oh, he got away with it, so I can be on my cell phone or I can do whatever it may be that they want to do, and something worse could happen. So I think like in that sense, he was lucky that nothing major. I mean, it was major, but nothing even more major happened because in that case, he'd probably be fired. But yeah, I don't know. I'd probably just like suspend him with no pay for a while and then like talk to him though about it and what was
I
his
think they have
reasoning.
to make it. They have to make it a pretty big, like they have to make it public what they did with him. And I'm thinking something you just said triggered in my mind is maybe not having him go back on the line, put him in a job temporarily, like maybe 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
where he's not on the front line. So it's kind of like demoting him, but still keeping him there. And then guess what? With 6 months, something else will happen. Something else. Do you know what I mean? It'll be old news,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
he can kind of work his way back up. I really didn't want to. I didn't think she should fire him.
Yeah,
But they
that's a
got to
good
make it
idea.
big enough that the employees, the other employees, don't try to do the same thing, and that everybody that was inconvenienced and, you know, all the higher ups feel like he was, do you know what I mean, that it was a punishment, I guess.
So that kind of matches with this question, but I don't know if you can elaborate on it a little more. It says if he stays on, what will the other officers there think?
Well, I think if he stays on, I think you have to make him go through some sort of training or, like Lynette said, work his way back up. Like there has to be consequence, you know, for his action. And there has to be, because that's an example to the others, like, oh, I can't just do something and get away with it. You know, he has to prove he can be trusted again and go through the ranks.
Yeah. Okay, so is a discipline without punishment approach, do you guys think that would be appropriate in this sort of case?
Discipline without punishment.
Yeah.
I guess I have a hard time kind of separating the two. Like I think the extreme punishment is getting fired. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's not really a punishment to, it's discipline to let him keep his job, reassign him, make him go through some training. I don't see that as punishment. I see that as discipline.
Yeah. Well, in the like other reading that we did, it talks about like informal discussions or formal reminders or the decision make and leave thing, like all of those being discipline without punishment type things.
I think
But
where it was such a public event incident, they're going to have to make it a public disclosure of what happens to him. So people are going to have to feel like the punishment or the discipline fit the crime, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry. So if they, I guess the major thing that we've kind of discussed is like demoting him and then working his way back up. So if they were to do this, do you think that that would like satisfy the people in the airport as well as the people like the public?
I think it would. And, you know, like I know they have their cell phone rule of they have to like get permission from their supervisor or whatever before they can be on their cell phone. Maybe there should just be a no cell phone policy while you're on the job, like on the front lines. You know, like if you're dealing with passengers and you're dealing with security, maybe there should be a strict no cell phone policy, you know, and if there's an emergency, your family or friends can call TSA corporate or whatever and get a hold of you through your supervisor that way, you know, but obviously with cell phones, it's so easy just to pull out and you get distracted. It's so easy just looking at it for just a second.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
suggestion.
When I worked for Alaska, we actually had lockers. And so when we got there, we put our cell phones in the locker. So if you wanted during a break or whenever you got a break, you could go and check it, but we weren't allowed to have, I don't know if they've changed it since then. That's like 6 years ago, but we're not allowed to have them on our person. Now I did see other people like Southwest, they do like a third party. A lot of people are just third party workers. So they're hired from somebody else. They're kind of not really Southwest employees. And like when I've flown out of Oakland, I've seen them out there, waiting for a plane to come in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I guess
But
those
on
are
their
more like
phone.
airline employees than TSA, but it just seems like you could bring your cell phone to work, but you could just keep it in the locker. So, if you needed to go check it, then you could check it, but not have it on your person. And I would think, and now
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about TSA agents if I've seen them with phones, and I think I have.
I know. I feel like I have too.
Yeah, I would imagine that
You know, and
even
I
if they're
was
not
shocked.
allowed on, I could still imagine them having them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And less about, did it say he was making a phone call or he was texting? Because you know how, phone
was
call,
on
it's
the phone.
really obvious. It was on the phone. Okay. See,
Yeah.
because texting to me is, well, that's a distraction as well. It's not as public as if, you're sitting there talking on the phone. So,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know if I would, like, I agree with that, but at the same time, I agree with it's not as public, but at the same time, I think that, like, if you're texting, you're going to be more looking down.
oh, yeah, that's
So
true.
not like looking, whereas if you're on the phone, you can still somewhat be monitoring.
Right.
But obviously he wasn't, but.
Yeah, obviously not.
So we all said that he shouldn't be fired. So based on that, what do you think he would have had to have done for him to actually be fired?
If the person that slipped through security ended up being somebody that had contraband in there or somebody that intended to, do some harm, then I think he would have definitely had to been fired.
So do you think like I would agree, but do you think, just thinking about it, do you think it makes a difference whether they had this stuff or they didn't? Like the fact that they even got through there.
I would say he was lucky that that person didn't,
Yeah.
have something.
He was really
I guess
lucky.
I do. Yeah, I guess I do kind of draw a line in that it wasn't an intent. It was not intentional and it didn't result in loss of life. It resulted in
Yeah.
inconvenience and loss of money, I guess. So I
Lots
just
of
think
money, I know.
yeah, yeah. And reputation. Do you know what I mean? TSA reputation.
Mhm.
So I think they just need to take him out of the public spotlight, away from other employees, and he either needs to go on some sort of unpaid leave or retraining. Just get him out of the spotlight for a while and let the situation cool down. And
Do
I
you
don't know.
think that he
What do you
would
guys think?
like? This is kind of like in connection, but do you think that how would he feel like if he got demoted? Would he still want to be there? Because he loves being
Can
in the
you get
front line
demoted from
so much.
the frontline position, or is the frontline position the bottom?
I thought that
Maybe not
was kind of the
demoted, but just
bottom.
like a different like position for him, like
Oh,
from the front line.
You mean away from the public?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just because he loves it so much, I don't know if he'd be willing to like if he'd rather just
yeah.
You know, and I
leave.
guess it's up to him. Maybe like when she talks to him, she could ask him, you know, do you think this is going to be too much for you to handle and come back to? Would you rather just voluntarily resign? You know,
Mm-hmm.
if he felt like if it were me, I'd quit just because I would be too embarrassed. Do you know what I mean? Like I just wouldn't want to deal with all the. But then where would you go get a job after that? I don't know.
Right, right. You'd almost want to build up your reputation again,
Yeah,
after an incident like that. But
try to
yeah,
make it right.
But at the
totally,
same time, I'm
totally.
sure other employees have done that though, too. I would imagine he's not the first to.
He just got caught.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah,
sure,
that
like
is
in their
true.
head, they'd probably be like, "That was unfortunate. He got caught. I'll
Maybe
be
I
more
shouldn't
careful."
be on my phone.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, some changes need to be made then, because if that was a guy with a bomb, that would have been bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay. So let's see. So we've kind of discussed it, but do you think that it was all his fault, like the security breach?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how you could not think it was all his fault, to be honest. Because it would never have happened if he wasn't on his phone.
Yep.
But it does say, in what ways did TSA contribute to the breach?
Maybe their lack of enforcing rules or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or letting them have
Policy.
cell phones on the
Yeah.
line. I really feel
Yeah.
like if that's your job is to prevent people coming through with, you know, guns or potentially dangerous things, I can't imagine any reason that you would be able to have your phone right there
Yeah.
with you. I mean, that's not like a constitutional right to have a phone with you. So I would like definitely say TSA, it's not like it was their fault, but maybe they need to look at their regulations as far as
Policies.
what they allow their employees, you know, to do,
Mm-hmm.
and keep the phone in the locker.
Yeah, because I get that like there's gonna be emergencies and whatever, but like Lindsay said, there's always some way to contact the person.
Right.
Um, at the same time, like if you have that phone on you, that's a temptation just to
Yeah.
use it when it's quiet or whatever. So especially, I know this was a while ago, but especially in this day and age.
Right.
Okay, so the next part is supposed to be a role play.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Why do they keep doing role plays? I don't get it.
I don't
Somebody
know.
else already warned me that like when she had this class, they had to do one, and it was the um, sexual harassment one, and she said it was so awkward. Like she said there's a lot of role playing, so maybe that's what we're gonna be doing. Okay, so give it to us. What are we doing?
Okay, so there's only 2 people, so that's good. So basically, one person has to be O'Reilly and one person has to be Sanchez. And says to get a man and a woman, but we don't have any men.
I'll be
I'll be.
Sanchez.
I was gonna say I'll be Sanchez because I don't want to be the bean person. Okay, I'll be O'Reilly. What are we
Okay.
saying?
So what you need to do is tell the person acting as O'Reilly that this is the moment when Sanchez is shown up for work She needs to tell him what her decision is, then have them do the role play. So basically, you're just having a talk with Sanchez, either telling him he's fired or whatever the final decision is there.
Okay, so let's see, how would I say this? Based on the severity of this incident, you're going to be suspended for 2 weeks without pay. You will be allowed to return to work after those 2 weeks if you so choose, and go through retraining. And within it'll be at least 6 months before you're allowed to go back on the front line.
Okay, so will I have to have any sort of demotion in pay other than the 2 weeks leave?
No.
Okay, and will I be able to still have opportunity for promotion even though I have this disciplinary against me?
Yes, if you go through these steps, you've been a good employee, and this is a way that you can regain your reputation and work your way back up to a highly valued employee.
I really appreciate that. I'm really sorry I was on my phone and I let a person slip through the cracks, but I will work hard to prove that TSA is important and everything will be okay. That I will be a good employee.
Okay, we're wanting to keep you as an employee, and we hope that this will be able to be turned into a positive experience. Also, give other employees opportunity to rethink how they use their phones. And probably we will be revising our policy about using phones on the front line, and we will no longer be allowing that. So in the long run,
a good idea.
In the long run, this can end up being helping TSA to actually be even more, even have safer. I just lost my train of thought. More safety precautions. There we go.
I think that's a really good idea. I was tempted with my phone, and so I think that'll be helpful if there's better guidelines so this doesn't happen in the future.
Okay. Is that you guys done?
Okay. Yeah. On a side note, I was just thinking, in the case it said that he's been working overtime trying to get more money to pay for his daughter's education. What if there's something with that where he was tired, or, you know what I mean? Maybe there shouldn't be any overtime at all within TSA. You know, maybe it should be a strict 40 hours a week thing.
That's true. Well, it's just being tired.
You know how it works is you have shifts, and if somebody can't come to work, they'll put their shift up and say, hey, will somebody switch shifts with me? And so that's what happens, is a lot of times there's it's just always out there to get overtime.
Okay.
I don't know, but yeah, I do see that. If it had been something where he was asleep, or, do you know what I mean? Calling his daughter doesn't seem like it was a I'm tired thing. But yeah, they're allowed to like pick up shifts, and that's how he's, getting the overtime. And the reason they do that too is because the pay is not very high. Do you know what I mean? So So anyway, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you guys for that role play. We have to ask the observers questions, so I guess I'll just answer them. So it just says, tell them what did you notice? So one thing I thought was interesting was just the questions that Lindsay asked. Like, I don't know if I would have even thought about those, like if you'll still be able to be promoted and like your pay and stuff. So those were super good questions.
I agree.
And then, did you think O'Reilly did the right thing? Yeah, I would agree with you. Like, a suspension would be appropriate. And mentioning the policy, like changing the policy too, I feel like that was beneficial. For you, Lynette, what did you find like hard to say in the conversation?
Oh, if I had had to fire him, I don't know that I'm capable of that. I don't like reprimanding people in general, and so I find it difficult to point out to other people their faults. So that I would not be a good person to have that kind of job. I would be, and I feel like probably there's other groups, like we all seem pretty kind-hearted. I bet there's other groups within our class that fired him. I'm curious to
Yeah.
see
That'd be
what other people
cutthroat.
did. Yeah, because they
Yeah.
really would have a legal basis to do so. And in some ways, it would just make it easier. Hey, we fired him. It's gone. Do you know what I mean? But I just,
Hmm.
I don't have that. I don't have that in me to do
And
that.
I think if he was like a bad employee and he wasn't performing and he'd been through like issues before, like
Right.
there would have
He
been
had
question
a
in my
clean
mind.
record, so
Yeah.
it feels like first time offender.
Yeah. So just like kind of wrapping it up at the end, now that we've had the whole discussion, are you guys like set in your way what you would do? Or are we still undecided?
I
No,
don't
I
think I've changed my
agree.
mind.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just agree with what Lynette has, said, do a short leave with no pay, and then having to work their way back up, and especially not being in the public. And you're right, something else always happens. And so, that incident will kind of get pushed to the background. It will satisfy the public. It will satisfy, show him being an example to other employees, and then help him to, be able to redeem himself. Redemption, I think, is important.
Yeah, and I agree as well about the training when he comes back. Make sure that's like in there so that he gets that, whether it's additional training or just going through this training again, just to re-emphasize to him the importance of this things. Because I bet it's been, I don't know if they do it annually or something, but he's been there for years, so I bet he's not had training in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so what actually happened was he got a warning but was not fired. However, 2 months later, he caused another serious breach.
Oh, what?
Are
I
you
put faith in
serious?
him. I put faith in him. What?
That's what
Oh my
happens. Should
gosh.
have fired him, I
Okay, I got
guess.
to go. So this is a real case. I'm going to go Google this.
I don't know. That's just, it says
Yeah.
that's what happened here. I don't know if this is
So
just
then
made
did
up
they
for.
fire him after that?
It doesn't say. Now it just asks us what we would do after that.
Oh, well then
Yeah,
if
he's
it's a
done.
second,
Yeah.
second thing is,
It doesn't.
I
he's
think it is
out.
a real case. Any Harvard Business Review case is a real case, I believe, like a real
Yeah, that's what
incident.
I thought. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Google and see
I
what
can't
really
believe
happened.
that.
Oh, I know. So was it for the same reason with the phone?
It
Or
doesn't
does it
say.
say?
That's literally
Mm.
all it says. It's like one sentence, just that he caused another breach, serious breach. So,
Sanchez.
but if it was for,
Wow.
then not that I completely blame TSA, but after the first incident, they should have looked at their policies if it was for the phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And a warning, that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeez, it's like a slap on the hand.
Yeah. Maybe that's why it happened again, because the first time it's got to hurt. And the way to hurt people, not hurt, but is the money thing, So you got to take away at least
Yep.
some money.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh man, now that makes me want to be more hard nosed.
So overall, what do you guys think the case teaches us about discipline?
Yeah, it has to be there. It's just like with kids or anything else. Like, I think there has to be discipline, even as adults, because if you feel like you can get away with something, then, an inch becomes a mile, it comes with 5 miles, and then serious problems happen.
Yeah. And
I
I
feel
probably
now. Oh,
here. Sorry.
sorry, Jennifer. Go ahead. Please.
I was just gonna say I think that's a problem here. Like he got away with it pretty much. So why not do it again? And then obviously something serious happened.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is I feel like TSA is at fault, and that the first incident wasn't dealt with some severity and some retraining. And so, what did they expect? I mean, what did they say they gave him? They didn't even have him.
Just he got a warrant.
A warning.
So probably just like a
Don't
formal.
do this again. Like that. Okay,
I mean,
well, they
all that
deserve what they got.
Yeah, all that
Wow.
money lost of the airlines having to switch everything, a terminal being shut down, like all
Yeah.
of that, and then you got a warning. Oh man, that's
See, I
bad.
thought we were being soft by just saying I was going to say
Serious.
6 weeks with no pay, and then you can come back. You got to be retrained, and so I felt like we were being pretty generous. But to just have a warning, I find that highly ineffective. Obviously, it was.
Obviously, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Google this.
They fired him
I gotta
after
find out.
Yeah, let me know what you find.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's just a couple more questions at the end here. So what do you guys think was the most important thing that you learned from the case?
If you
Discipline
don't
is good.
yes.
Go ahead, sorry, Lynette.
Oh no, I was just gonna say if you don't discipline, then expect it to happen again.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. How would you rate the discussion today? 0 to 10.
10 out of 10. That was
Of
great.
course.
That's it. Until next time, I guess.
Awesome.
Okay. So let's see, who's it back to? Is it
I
you,
think
Lindsay?
I'm leading next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All
So
right. Sounds good. And I'll get on I feel bad I haven't done an issue yet for this week's, or haven't done a solution for this week's issue, but I'll get on it and get it done.
neither have I.
So, but thank you, Jennifer, for getting the issue out there so that we have something to work with.
No
So,
problem. Feel free to change it
okay.
as you see fit.
Okay.